sleek, safe, and built to perform. Jabiru Aircraft are a familiar sight across the globe. Their distinctive shape crisscrossing the skies. But where are they built? What does it take to build an aircraft that has become an Australian icon? The Jabiru Aircraft factory has been building something remarkable for over 3 decades. Australian-made aircraft and engines designed from the ground up for pilots who value simplicity, performance and reliability. It all begins with a blueprint. Whether it is the airframe, the engine or the final assembly, every step starts with one question. How can we make this better? The Jabiru Gen 4 engines embody years of refinement. Every curve, every component is the result of intelligent engineering, relentless testing, and a commitment to fly further and safer. The process begins with raw materials. Cylinder heads, crankcases, and camshafts are all precision machined on site using state-of-the-art equipment.
That's the finished product and that's the byproduct of this one. All ready to go. All to high specifications, everything perpendicular and parallel.
Once machining is complete, the parts are ready for quality testing. In a temperature-controlled room, a coordinate measuring machine checks tolerances down to 2 microns, 15 times smaller than the width of a human hair.
This is what's called a CMM, or coordinate measuring machine, and its role is to measure all the components that we have dimensionally. So it's pivotal to our QA system. All the parts have to come in here and they get mounted on a jig here, and then this little arm comes across and measures them all dimensionally. And it's driven by a program from this computer, and all the results are kept in the computer. And even when we have crankcases, the little probe has to come along and disappear down the tunnels and measure inside them, and then goes back and changes its probe to another one depending on what it's going to measure.
While the crankcases and other major components complete testing on the coordinate measuring machine, smaller parts like pistons follow a different path. Inside a dedicated quarantine room, each component undergoes meticulous inspection and a precise weighing by a specialised team.
This is just where we keep all the stock that's in some QA process, and it's separated from the rest of the stock that's on the floor. So, for example, here we've got the pistons, and Robin's been busily weighing each of the pistons on there, putting their weights on here. And then what happens is we've got them to match these, because one's the right and one's the left. We want boxes of pistons then with similar weights on it, and we're trying to get them within 1 to 2 grams. So then she matches them all up, both matching for the weight and matching for the diameters within one box. So that's how that works. Also in this room, Robin also cuts the cloth and use those templates to cut out both a wing box of material for the wings and a box for the fuselage.
Once the parts pass QA inspection on the cornet measuring machine or in the quarantine room, they are placed into inventory, where they will be used in one of Jabiru's engine builds.
Leith here picks all of the stock, puts them in a box ready for the guys down the back to build the engine. That's all the smaller parts, and then the bigger parts they collect as well as they need them.
My focus is on, with production engine, is picking all parts, make sure that they've got everything. Basically that's what I'm doing here, picking these parts. They'll be assigned to an engine number, and then when the production guys, when they get to it, they'll basically take these out one at a time. They'll do, usually they'll do all the sub-assemblies first, so they might go through half a dozen engines, whatever the case may be, and then I sort of just keep an eye on what's going on there, so that way I can try and keep ahead.
Once verified, these parts move to the engine room floor, where skilled technicians assemble each engine by hand, following detailed work orders.
Tony's nearly completing a 4-cylinder engine here. So the engines are built one at a time. A lot of the sub-assemblies are done by other people nearby in that section up there, and typically all of the parts for a new engine are placed in one of the bays on the shelves, and then all of the parts are drawn from there to build the engine. There are lots of paperwork that goes with every engine, with every single part listed, and a lot of the major parts all have to be batch tracked and serialised, and all of that tracked as well.
Each Jabiru engine is tested on a dyno to simulate real flight conditions and verify performance. Key metrics like RPM, temperature and oil pressure are monitored to ensure every engine meets factory standards before installation.
This is a test cell here, so that engine we just saw has just come out of there. And when it's in here, it's all wired up to the same sort of instrumentation that you'd have in your aircraft. So it's rigged up with all of the sensors for your EGTs, your CHTs, your oil temperatures, oil pressures, etc. So that's all recorded manually, as well as loads onto a hard drive as well. So we can also do the tuning in that process and get that as good as we can on a test cell before it goes out.
First come here, it was sort of in awe out, just how they start out as a block of alloy and then they become an engine. So especially when you're up there and you're assembling, say, a sub-assembly like a gearbox or main bearings. You install the main bearings and then you're like, you don't realise that in probably an hour, like by the end of the day, this is going to be a running engine on the dyno and be ready to ship out to a customer.
While the heart of the aircraft is taking shape, the body is built just next door. The airframe starts as a composite fabric, transformed layer by layer in moulds to form the fuselage, wings and tail sections. Lightweight, corrosion-resistant and structurally strong, every surface is crafted to fly efficiently and withstand the harshest conditions.
This section here we use to lay up the wings. So we've got the one side of the wing here and the other side there, and when it's finished, that will then be put on the top and clamped together until that sets. You've got the space there left for the fuel tank, and you've got the spar, the main structure through there.
When you pull a mold, like a fuse out of a mold and join it together, and when it goes to paint shop and comes back, and you see it, and you're like, I had something to do it. Or you go past an airfield and you see a Jabiru out there, and you're like, I could have had a part in that one. So it's pretty good, and you know you got to do your job right.
This is an example of the fuel tank, which goes in the wings. There's two of these, one on each wing, and it is actually a structural part of the wing. So once it's finished being made, we have to test it to see that it doesn't leak. That's done by a pressure test, and then that goes into the wing when we're constructing the wing.
Then comes final assembly. The airframe and engine, two halves of the same story, are brought together in the final fit-out bay. Avionics, controls, interiors and finishing touches are installed with care and precision. This is where the machine becomes an aircraft. Once the aircraft is finished, it undergoes final inspection and engine test run to confirm everything meets Jabiru's strict quality standards. After passing these checks, it's signed off and prepared for pickup by the customer.
If you're interested in purchasing a Jabiru or just having a sit in one to see what it feels like, you're very welcome to ring us and make an appointment, and we'll show you through.